Hello, listeners. Before we start, I just want to remind you you can listen to Nighttime early and ad free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. This is episode 171 of Keep Canada Weird. Before we round up this week's weird Canadian news, let me ask you the burning question we all have. How you doing over there?
No, I'm doing very well. It's a comfortable temperature. Last week when we recorded, I was having a lot of aggressive perspiration from being in an upstairs apartment, and the heat was very intense.
And you did the stereotypical podcast thing for real as you recorded without pants.
That's right, but I had underwear on, so for legal purposes, please state that.
Okay. Fortunately, it's not that hot tonight, so nothing weird's going to happen. But let's start off the show the way we always do with the unveiling of tonight's special drinks. Do you want to show yours off first?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Thanks. It's a special drink I've had before on the show. It's actually the special drink that I go to most often when driving a long distance. I like to get a sugar-free vitamin water.
Okay, yeah, I like those things.
Yeah. This flavor, as I will read to you, is blueberry pomegranate flavor.
The flavors of all those kinds of like Gatorade style drinks, it's always BS. If you read the name of the flavor, it sounds like this fancy thing, but really you just need to say what color it is. There's like the blue ones, the orange ones, the red ones. People know what you mean. The one you're drinking is like a reddish purple.
This color is a blueberry pomegranate color, so.
Yeah, it's reddish purple and it's going to taste reddish purple. Take a hit off it.
I don't care for this conversation. I find you're kind of raining on my special drink parade right now.
Okay, sorry. I shouldn't take the spotlight. Go for it.
Okay, I'll sip it. Oh, yeah.
Good. My special drink, it may not seem all that special to you. I just got a 7-Up in my hand here, which is refreshing and nice on a summer evening as it is tonight. But this wasn't my plan. Tonight I was going to surprise you with a special treat instead of a special drink. But after going from shop to store to grocery store to gas station, I could not find what I was looking for. What I was going to have tonight may have been a sad way to start the show because I was planning to mourn the loss of a friend. Do you know what I mean by a Jersey milk bar?
I do know a Jersey milk bar. I've seen them in convenience stores all throughout my entire life and rarely ever bought them.
Yeah, it's a shame. Much like the cherry blossom, the Jersey milk bar has been a staple at Canadian convenience stores for the last, 100 years. The manufacturer just announced that the bar has been discontinued. After 100 years of production, will no longer be sold. I thought it would be cool to have one on the show tonight and crack it open and eat it. Could not find it. I think they probably had slowed down for some time because I was expecting to see some of them hanging around, but no such luck here in Halifax.
Yeah, what would have been really special is if you did find a Jersey milk bar and you made a hot chocolate out of it.
They were good for s'mores. Do you have any memories of a Jersey milk bar? Because we should maybe talk about it a bit. For people who are unfamiliar, they're only sold in Canada, so a lot of our American listeners don't know what we're talking about. But it is basically a regular milk chocolate bar, kind of divided up into a whole bunch of little squares. It was great for s'mores. That's kind of what I think of it as. If I recall, when we were kids, it was always a Jersey milk bar that you would put it on a marshmallow over a campfire, and Bob's your uncle.
Well, Bob is not my uncle, but I have no memories of Jersey milk bars other than just seeing them on the displays in convenience stores. Never buying them. I have no specific memory whatsoever of a Jersey milk bar. And I know I don't associate them with s'mores either. I would have assumed that a Hershey's chocolate would be put on a s'more.
It doesn't sound like you're going to miss a Jersey milk bar, but I bet you there are some listeners out there who will. And for them, I take off my hat and stand proudly with my hat in hand on my heart and mourn the loss of the Jersey milk bar alongside you. I don't like to see Canadian-centric things die, like the Jersey milk bar.
Yeah, I just never bought one. Sorry.
Me neither. I don't know if I have. Well, if I have bought one, it hasn't been in 15 years.
Yeah, you've been lying from the tip of this show because another lie is you don't even wear a hat right now. You said you were tipping your hat. So I just want to point that out to the listeners as
Okay.
well.
Let's start the show with our special drinks, followed by a piece of listener mail. We have a listener named Deborah, and she was able to elaborate a little bit on a discussion we started last week about feral pigs and this idea that pigs that aren't behind a fence need to be rounded up and killed. She seems to know quite a bit about feral pigs, and she wanted to get us hip to why these things are so nasty and what differentiates a feral pig versus a domesticated or like a farm animal pig. Here's Deborah. Let's give her the mic.
Hey, it's Devra, reporting from Central Canada, your faithful Keep Canada Weird correspondent. I'm calling in about the feral pig story from last week's episode because, yeah, it's real, it's weird, and it's already well underway over here. Domestic pigs don't stay cute for long once they're loose. Within a few weeks, they start shifting physically and behaviorally. They grow tusks, lose the curly tails, toughen up, and basically become wild boars with attitude. Out west and through the prairies, they're already causing serious damage, tearing up crops, wreaking havoc on ecosystems, and multiplying fast. They're smart, hard to track, and even harder to get rid of once they're settled in. So consider this your early warning from Central Canada. The pigs are mobilizing. Appreciate you putting it on people's radar. Weird? Absolutely. But also low-key terrifying. You should definitely Google it.
I did Google it before we went to air. I didn't realize that a domesticated pig or like a pig on a farm, they only need to be like let loose and running around in the woods for a couple weeks and they basically like become a different animal.
Wow, that's terrifying.
And they breed like crazy and they're vicious as hell.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Now that I know more about the situation on the other side of the country and these feral pigs are dominating and taking over, it concerns me. We saw it with ticks. Ticks, made their way over to Eastern Canada and climate change brought them over. And then now they're everywhere and you can't even go outside without being covered in Lyme disease.
It's
So
true.
yeah, it's true. And the feral pigs are going to do the same thing. And then
Yeah.
eventually you just crawl into a hole and hope for the best.
A bit of interesting facts on wild pigs in Canada or feral pigs in Canada. They weigh up to 600 pounds.
Hmm.
That is a big animal. I think of pigs as, like kind of like big round dogs, but 600 pounds is like huge round dog. To think of them with tusks and all dirty and covered in like mud and blood and stuff is
Yeah.
pretty frightening. But the fact that shocked me the most when pigs started escaping and becoming feral and breeding, it was thought that they wouldn't be able to survive or at least not thrive in Canadian winters. So when feral pigs first started to kind of grow in numbers, it wasn't an immediate concern, but it turned out that they actually started building these things that they call pigloos after an igloo. And it's these little like kind of dens or huts that the pigs are making to survive the winter. It sounds made up, pigloos, but it's a thing. And that's one of the ways they've been able to adapt to Canadian winters and continue to grow in numbers, ultimately before heading east and killing you and I with their dirty, muddy horns.
Yeah, I don't want you to take this personally, but I hope they kill you first.
I think they will because I'm more west than you,
Yeah,
right? Like I think when
yeah.
the pigs come to Nova Scotia, they'll go through Halifax. They'll show up at your door with probably my head on one of their tusks. Like,
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I'd appreciate if you give me a text, heads up, kind of thing.
yeah, my house is
Like,
surrounded.
hey, I'm being eaten. I'm being eaten right now by one. Watch out.
While I begin drafting that text that I will inevitably send you and saving a draft of it so I can send it on demand when the need arises, let's just take our first break of the night. When we get back, we'll get into the weird Canadian news stories from the past week. Tonight's episode is going to be a doozy. We have two stories about gross Canadian places, and then we have a trilogy of stories about mischief, madness, and misfortune. But we'll start with the gross places after this break. Handsome Aaron Airport, I promised you a duo of gross Canadian places that were in the news last week, and I will live up to that promise. Do you want to start with KFC's swimming pool of doom, or do you want to hear about all that goose poop on a beach in Nova Scotia?
As much as I love goose poop, Let's go with the KFC Pool of Doom, as it's being called.
I like this story. Actually, I don't like this story, but I do enjoy how disgusted I am by it. KFC, we all know them as the fried chicken giant. They're gross enough as it is a KFC restaurant. But in Montreal, one specific location's parking lot is especially foul. A large puddle that forms in the parking lot has transformed it into a sort of urban swamp. Nearby residents are fed up with the stinky, stagnant mess. Here's the story of KFC's swimming pool of doom.
For some, it's become a neighborhood joke.
It looks like still water. You know, if you drop inside, goodbye.
This is a public swimming pool. Only they don't put any chemical to clean up.
But for Barry Dane, it's no laughing matter.
They call it a swimming pool that nobody dare go in because it's dangerous to health.
Standing water outside of a KFC parking lot in Côte-de-Neige, NDG, is a growing concern. Many say it's been there for months, and the smell is getting worse. They're afraid it's becoming a health risk.
It's very dangerous. It becomes bad. People can get sick, and children. People are walking it, kids are walking in it.
The scent is very awful.
We eat food here.
Just by standing here, I can already smell the stale water. It's overflowing from the edge of the KFC parking lot, spilling onto the sidewalk and trickling into the street, creating not just a mess, but a public safety concern. One business owner says she wants the city to do something.
So many people complain, City call, nobody listen, I don't know.
The borough says they are aware of the problem, but it's not their job to clean it up. The responsibility is on KFC. According to the city, the problem is coming from the restaurant's sewer pipes. They say they notified the owner a few weeks ago. We spoke with the employees at KFC, but they told us to reach out to head office. We did, but did not hear back in time for broadcast. As for 94-year-old Dane,
I want to see it cleared. We don't need danger in the community. We have enough problem with ourselves and others.
with rain in the forecast for this weekend, he's afraid the swimming pool in the parking lots might just get bigger.
A KFC parking lot is a pretty gross place as it is. And this idea that it doesn't have like the appropriate drainage or whatever, and it just forms this massive swimming pool that doesn't dry up between rainfalls, that must be just disturbing.
Before we dive into the still water, the sign on the KFC, why did it say PFK? Is that something new that I'm missing, or?
Well, this is in this story set in Montreal. That must be the French.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that
Instead
up
of
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Poulet. You said it was PFC?
PFK.
PFK. Poulet fried Kentucky? Like the French.
Yeah.
That's how the French would say it.
That clears that up because I couldn't focus on the rest of the story until I
You want me to play it again?
If you don't mind playing it 2 to 3 more times.
PFK. Yeah, so it's this idea that the business would allow water to collect. It's a problem in a few ways. In the winter, it's going to freeze, people will slip and fall and sue KFC. In the summer, it's just going to be a disturbing mess. I can only imagine the stuff that's living and growing in that is just straight from hell, which is why I call it the swimming pool of doom. We've heard you describe yourself, Aaron, last week, how hot and muggy it was in that upstairs apartment. Can you imagine how disgusting it is around a puddle in a KFC parking lot, probably with dead rats and chicken bones floating in this thing?
Mm-hmm.
They got to do something about this.
Yeah, it reminds me of Ghostbusters 2 and the scene where they're like lowering down into the sewer in Ghostbusters 2, and there's that river of slime. And they're like in their suits and everything, trying to get a sample of it. That's what this big, giant puddle of awfulness reminds me of.
Yeah.
The employees of this KFC, how do they feel about it? I can't imagine wanting to go to work every day with this thing in the parking lot. Do you like KFC? Like, do you eat it?
No, I don't. I think of KFC as I'm not going to feel good after I eat that. That's what I think when I see KFC. When I smell KFC, I think this is the smell of the kind of food that makes me feel like crap. Very rarely eat it, and I certainly wouldn't eat it at this place. Like, how unappetizing would it be to walk through the parking lot to just smell the stench of like rotting organic material?
It's, and the smell of KFC is a very dominating smell. So normally when you walk by a KFC, it's all you can smell is the, what is it, the 11 herbs and spices or however many there are.
I don't know if that's what I smell. I feel like what I smell is just like the grease. To me, it smells like boiling grease. And you asked me if I eat KFC. I said no. Do you eat KFC?
I have KFC once a year.
Okay.
The craving, it doesn't come back very quickly. And usually after about 7 or 8 months, I'm like, okay, I'm due for my yearly KFC dose in about 2 months from now. Or, and then I have it, and my first couple of bites are pure heaven. And then I feel like complete and utter human garbage about halfway through. And then I go home and cry.
So it seems like your annual KFC feast is probably tied to like the power of your memory. It seems like it takes you about 1 year to forget how awful it was the last time you had it.
It's kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like that. I mean, I know going in that I'm going to regret it, but there's a lot of things that I do in life that I know I'm going to regret, and I do them anyway.
Damn, that's deep. You mean that?
Listen, I'm a man of great truth, and
regret,
and more regret than truth.
Whose problem is it to clean up this disgusting swimming pool of doom? Should the city do it, or should KFC do it? I think the answer is pretty clear.
Yeah, KFC should do it. But at some point in time, somebody's got to do it. So if KFC is not going to, then the city should do it and charge them for it.
Yeah. I see it as more of a problem affecting KFC. So I think if the actual local business owner doesn't deal with it, you'd think like the corporate KFC would get involved. Like if KFC doesn't want to be in the news associating their product with a bacteria pond and a foul smell. So you'd think that the business owner in this local KFC would be getting a letter from corporate KFC saying like, you're making us look bad, bro.
Yeah, step it up. We are a company of quality, and you are bringing down our numbers, especially when it hits the airwaves. Like this is on TV. This has been broadcast all over the country. I don't know,
but the world now
that we got a hold of it. Yeah.
And we're running with it. But let's move on to another gross story. We've attacked this KFC enough, and I think the shareholders are probably flipping out knowing that Keep Canada Weird got their greasy mitts on this. Let's move on to the story of the goose poop at a Nova Scotia beach. Penhorn Lake Park in Dartmouth has long been a local swimming spot. But after years of rising goose populations, it's become more like a toilet than a summer getaway. Here's the story of all that goose poop at the Nova Scotia beach.
People using Penhorn Lake Park have to be careful where they step these days.
The amount of goose poop is just ridiculous. Absolutely crazy.
Robin Isaac has been swimming here for 60 years. Over the last 4 to 5, she's seen the goose population steadily increasing, and it's making the beach an unpleasant place to visit. Over the last 2 days, she's cleaned up 8 buckets of droppings.
If you go look around, like just behind me here, there's so much poop there. You can't sit, you can't enjoy it.
The city is going to try to do something about it.
We have someone that has trained border collies that's trained to shoo away the geese.
Deputy Mayor Tony Mancini says the program is a humane one, and the dogs are only going to be brought in towards the end of July after the young geese are able to fly.
geese, and they're Canada geese. They're beautiful looking animals, but they do their business all over the place. And when we look at this beach behind me, there's lots of their droppings all over the place, and it makes the water unsafe, and it's an unsafe thing for families to be hanging out in.
The park will get a thorough cleaning, and the city will also be bringing in new sand for the beach.
I am so grateful. I wish it could start now.
The city has tried other methods in the past, like lights and sounds, to encourage the geese to move along. That didn't work. The dogs have been successful at clearing golf courses, and the hope is that it will work here too. And Todd, there is a similar program underway at Albro Lake Beach. Deputy Mayor Tony Mancini says it will take a couple years before the program has a significant effect on the goose population. Todd.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. John McGinnis at the beach, thank you.
I love that response at the end. Yep, that's pretty gross. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that cracked me up. That's an interesting story, though. It's we've done quite a bit about Canadian geese, and that's kind of becoming an evolving kind of narrative that we've been following here. We heard of the Canadian geese overtaking a military base in Ottawa. Now it seems like they're stinking up a park in Nova Scotia just by pooping, to the extent that this poor lady took it upon herself to collect 8 buckets of it.
8 buckets is a lot of poop from any animal.
That would take her. That's a long day of just picking up. Why would she do that? And I wonder if she even put a dent in it.
It's not a hobby I'd recommend to anybody. I'd say, maybe pickleball or maybe anything else in the world, but picking up goose poop. But hey, I mean, to each his own, I guess.
To each their own. Whatever blows your skirt up is what Madeline Klein always says.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Goose poop will do that.
I do like the proposed solution. A humane solution is bringing in border collies, not to kill the geese, but just to shoo them off, to bark at them and chase them. So I like that kind of creative solution, but it does open Pandora's box. Is what do they do about the raging border collie population that will form in this park? And being a new dog owner myself, I am amazed at how much waste a dog can leave around a yard.
Yeah. The dogs will be pooping all over the beach, and then they'll have to bring in the feral pigs, and the feral pigs will poop, and then it'll just be just like outside of a KFC in Quebec.
Yeah.
It'll just be a river of poop.
This is 2 gross Canadian places, right? I was kind of impressed as I went through the news stories this week. I was like, weird. These are both gross.
These are both gross. Yeah, that's a category. Gross.
And we come, like, for people who are unfamiliar with Cape Breton Island, where we're both from, we actually come from a bit of a gross place. People who are unfamiliar with Cape Breton Island are often enjoy hearing about the tar ponds.
Yeah, it's been encased in a concrete ball, and let whoever digs it up 5,000 years from now deal with it.
Yeah, it's like our version of Chernobyl. I'm no expert on the tar ponds history, but a crash course in it. And I know a bit about it because I actually grew up like very close to the tar ponds. What it was we used to have a steel plant right in the center of Sydney, which is the city in Cape Breton that I'm from, and you lived very close to. There was a steel plant in the center of town. The steel plant, kind of the waste from the steel plant went into this like nearby lake and river system that was downtown. And I think when it all started, back in the day, they didn't realize the problem it would create. But this lake became so polluted, it was given the name tar pond or tar ponds. And they tried to deal with it. They being like the government, both the municipal, provincial, and federal government have gone in on trying to remediate this site. It was full of carcinogens, like cancer-causing pollution stuff. They tried a whole bunch of different ways to get rid of it. Nothing ever worked. And eventually what they decided to do was like encase the whole thing in this sort of like rubber bag that they buried, I believe is what they did. And now there's a large park there on top of the tar pond, which is in a bag underneath the ground.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah. That's more or less the story. There was even a gentleman that went down at one point in time in protest with a bucket and a shovel and tried to remove the tar ponds himself. When it was seeming like nobody was going to do anything about it.
Well, this has been a great duo of gross Canadian places. Why don't we refreshen the room here by taking a quick break and then getting to our trilogy of stories covering mischief, madness, and misfortune in Canada. You ready to do that?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick sip of my special drink. Let's have a quick break. All right, Handsome Aaron Airport, it's time for our trilogy. Do you want to hear mischief, madness, or misfortune?
Triple M. Misfit.
That wasn't an option. Mischief, madness, or misfortune?
Oh.
Did you mean mischief?
Yeah, mischief.
Okay. Our story of Canadian mischief. This is a story that I think we're both going to cringe at because nothing is tackier and more trashy than a cigarette lighter in the shape of a gun. In Vancouver, police are getting fed up with being called to firearm complaints, only to find out that the weapon is actually a novelty lighter. That's right, gun-shaped lighters are causing full-on armed responses, and the city is now saying enough is enough, and a bylaw is in the works to regulate novelty lighters shaped as guns. Here's the story of the bylaw in Vancouver that may put the end to the gun lighter chaos.
They look like the real thing, and police are growing tired of them.
You can imagine something like this pointed at an officer or seen by a member of the public in a dark alley in the middle of the night. We're going to think this is a gun, and we're going to treat it as if it's real.
Late last month in this East Van neighborhood, police responded to reports of a man with a gun in his home. It prompted a large response and took several hours, but turns out it was one of those gun look-alike lighters.
Anecdotally, I can tell you we're receiving multiple calls each week.
Sergeant Steve Addison says each call can deploy a dozen officers or more, tying up valuable resources.
Gun-shaped lighters are, frankly, they're a bit of a menace.
City Councillor Mike Klassen is pushing a new bylaw to ban the sale of these novelty lighters in Vancouver stores.
They don't serve any real purpose, and they create a huge amount of risk where police are come out in big numbers, you could think, because they think they're real weapons, and potentially somebody could get hurt.
Well, the whole thing is just so silly and so immature.
This firearms advocate calls the bylaw impractical and a waste of time.
What does that look like? Or somebody that has a gun-shaped lighter, maybe that walked in from Burnaby that gets caught with it, is lighting a cigarette or something. Are they going to face a firearm charge? Are they going to just face confiscation?
And how do you police people buying them online? Klassen admits there are legal hurdles, but believes the bylaw could ignite meaningful change.
I think that sending the signal of making sure that they are banned for sale would be a very important first step to make sure that we don't have these around.
Council is expected to vote on the bylaw in the coming weeks.
What do you think is cooler, Aaron? One of the switchblade knives that are actually a hairbrush, a hair comb, or a lighter shaped as a gun?
Yeah, definitely the switchblade comb is cooler. Because you get to do the whole kind of comb. I mean, this is an audio podcast, but and you flick it out, and then you comb your hair with it and grease your hair back, like
it is super cool.
And then you get on your motorcycle.
Yeah, where with a gun-shaped lighter, what do you even do other than have like an awkward lighter in your pocket? A part of the beauty of a cigarette lighter is just its shape.
Yeah.
It's this subtle, thin thing that just slides in your pocket for when you need it. If it was a metal gun-shaped lighter, that's just so inconvenient.
Yeah, I don't want to have a holster for my lighter.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like this story says, there's a safety risk. I don't want to get shot by a cop because they think my lighter is a real gun. Why would you risk it?
Yeah. And those lighters, those gun-shaped lighters are almost like blowtorches.
Yeah, they use, I think you call it butane, where instead of a little flame popping up, it's like a torch, like.
Yeah, which is dangerous in itself to be carrying that around everywhere. It's like, you always have a blowtorch at the ready.
Yeah, in your pocket. A blowtorch shaped as a gun, inexplicably.
Yeah.
I think anyone who buys these needs to give their head a shake because it's stupid. It's tacky. And then what's the story what they had in that news clip? They had like a firearms rights advocate who was like, I guess just like criticizing this idea that they regulate it. If he's like a firearms rights advocate, what does he care about these lighters? It's almost like his stance is, since it's a firearm shaped lighter, it's almost like he feels the need to criticize this regulation.
I guess he's worried about the domino effect. If they regulate these, then what are they going to regulate next?
Then they're coming for the guns. Yeah.
Yeah, then eventually his guns are gone. But I remember when we were children and you could get a toy gun and it looked very real until a certain point in the 90s, I think. They started putting those like red caps on the tips
or
of
like
guns.
I think more so orange.
Yeah, maybe an orangish red or a dark orange or something, but just to make the toy gun look obviously like a toy gun and not like a real gun.
It only makes sense to have that. I remember as a kid having like toy machine guns that looked like real guns and loving it.
Yeah.
And yeah, then they added that orange tip to them, probably after some kid got shot.
Yeah. Somebody, pulls a toy gun out and then gets shot by somebody else because they thought they had a real gun. I'm sure there were several stories like that in the 80s, but
absolutely. Are you suggesting they add like a little orange thing to the end of these lighters? Maybe that's all it would take, because then all of a sudden it would look kind of stupid. People would be like, maybe this isn't so cool.
Yeah, or just carve lighter on the side of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, this is silly. I don't know why it's becoming an issue right now in Vancouver. It seems like we heard in that news clip, it described like a situation like a week or two ago. So maybe it's just kind of a hot topic right now because of one specific isolated incident. Like they say, I don't know how they could properly regulate it. Because people can buy them online or bring them in from out of the province or whatever. But even just not having them being sold, not having them available for sale, at least that would help. Like, you just make it so you can't buy them. I don't think you should be able to buy them anywhere here in Canada.
Yeah. I don't see the need as to why anybody would want one, but obviously people do. And what people want, they will get in some capacity. So you're probably not going to stop it, except to give people tickets when you see people using them in public, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'd say don't deal with the people using them, deal with the stores selling them.
Yeah, but if people are buying
Maybe
them
like
on the internet from a company outside of the country.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know how it's going to go. I think what should stop it is people's own taste. She's like, I don't want like that ridiculous slider. Let's get to our second story of mischief, madness, and misfortune. Our story involves some pantless chaos on a BC ferry. A Canada Day ferry ride turned into a bizarre and dangerous spectacle when a pantless man with both a Tesla and a sledgehammer caused chaos on the Queen of Cumberland ferry. But BC ferry workers say this bizarre incident isn't a one-off. It's just the tip of a very weird and very dangerous iceberg. Here comes the story of the pantless chaos on that BC ferry.
A lone vehicle drives back and forth on the ferry deck before a man not wearing pants gets out and comes at employees. But this is where the story ends.
Since the beginning, he was extremely confrontational, very abusive, and for some reason he was yelling at the BC Ferry staff that you are fired.
The driver boarded the Queen of Cumberland Tuesday night, traveling from Main Island to Sports Bay. During the crossing, his behavior began to escalate.
They picked up a sledgehammer from the anchor compartment and used that to break the lock off the gate at the front of the vessel. And then had gotten back into their vehicle and were moving their vehicle around. And that's about where the video picks up.
There is RCMP here.
The crew called the RCMP, and with the ocean still between them, they stand face to face.
We're going to put the apron down.
But when the officers come aboard, he bolts, barricading himself in his vehicle.
They ultimately removed the passenger from their vehicle and detained them.
John Martel remains in custody and is facing several charges. The court has also ordered an assessment of his mental condition.
They're going to have to break the window.
But the BC Ferry and Marine Workers Union says this is just one of many incidents its members are forced to deal with on a regular basis.
There has been an increase in negative interactions, both verbal and physical, for people traveling in it, and that makes it more difficult to come to work for a lot of folks.
In a statement, BC Ferries says we're supporting the employees involved and taking a hard look at how we prepare for these situations. This comes after another incident on Saturday where a passenger hit one crew member and bit another after refusing to leave the lower vehicle deck.
People who work for BC Ferries aren't corrections officers, they aren't police officers, and it looks like at some points we're going to need more tools than we have currently.
This video drives that point home.
Nice!
It took 3 officers to wrestle Martel out of his vehicle and off the vessel.
Man, I am glad that I don't work in a job where I have to deal with the public face to face. Stories like this idea of like enhanced security and, people not feeling safe at work, it's more and more common all across Canada now. This is just a bizarre, shocking spectacle version of that. But my first thought is, if that is a concern, maybe they shouldn't have sledgehammers in reach of the public.
Yeah, maybe not in reach, but I hate to say this, but it seems like this is happening a lot on this particular ferry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at some point in time, does the staff of the ferry start to blame themselves? Like, is it something we're doing?
I don't think it is. I think society is just collapsing at a rapid pace, and we can't keep up with how awful things are becoming. And
But
I think
I've
they
been
know
on ferries many times before in my
And
life.
you never felt the urge. Have you ever felt the urge to attack a ferry operator?
No. And in fact, I've never seen anyone behave this way on a ferry before. And everybody was always fully clothed.
Have you ever watched those TV shows where it's like people getting mad at the airport because their flights are delayed and that sort of thing?
Mhm.
Well, I think this is just like, I think the ferries is no different than the airport. Like, you're going to have people who show up drunk or they miss their ferry and they're flipping out or whatever. Like, I think it's the same thing. It's just ferries don't move as many human beings as an airport does. And that's why those stories seem more connected to airports than ferries. I don't think it's the ferry operator's fault. I think this guy, something would have happened whether he was on this ferry or somewhere else.
Right.
The fact that he had no pants on, of course it was a Tesla vehicle, and there's probably some people out there that will have something to say about that. A sledgehammer of all things. I don't even get what he was trying to do. I also like the way the ferry operator explained it, is he was very loud and abusive, and for some reason telling everyone that they were fired.
Since the beginning, he was extremely confrontational, very abusive, and for some reason he was yelling at the BC Ferry staff that you are fired.
I can almost hear that.
Yeah. Do you think it's because the ferry is so slow moving?
That is
That
frustrating.
people get frustrated?
What I don't like, and I don't know if every ferry is this way, but the ferry that goes between Nova Scotia and PEI is you drive your car on the ferry, but then you got to leave your car and go upstairs, and you can't go back to where your car is until it gets to the other side. That kind of bugs me.
And does it bug you enough to take your pants off?
I don't think it's ever bugged me enough to take my pants off. No, I've gone as far as to say this sucks.
Yeah. Did the guy have his pants off long before he got irritated?
It's hard to tell because maybe he pulled in irritated. There hasn't been, as far as I can tell, any journalism done into where his pants went and at what point his pants come off. I think a part of that is what we see, what we know about this story is largely from a video that somebody captured of him running around in his car going crazy with no pants on. The video doesn't start until the man's pants have already been removed. If only we had video from, I don't know, following this guy for hours prior, we could probably get a better sense of what motivated the removal of the pants.
See, and here's another aspect of this is that most of the story is coming from this video footage of the incident where it's starting off and he's already not wearing pants and he's angry at the people who are running the ferry. So
he fired them.
Yeah, he fired them because what if what we didn't see before the video footage started was the staff of this ferry taking his pants off, saying Give me those pants.
Yeah, that's true. There may be another side of this. It's kind of like a lot of TV shows start with the cold open. The video of the man outside of his car on the ferry with a sledgehammer wearing no pants. He's flipping out. He gets arrested. And then it goes to the episode. You know, the X-Files logo comes up on the screen. We hear that story. Then when the show starts, it brings us back, you know, early, like the beginning of the day, he's getting out of bed, clearly has pants on. The rest of the episode brings us up to that point that the pants get stolen by a VC ferry operator.
Yeah.
I could see it now. It writes itself.
You see it every day, these types of things. And it's unfortunate for the pantsless man because now he's been demonized in the public. And when all he wanted was his pants back, probably.
Let's go to our final story of the night. This is going to be a story of Canadian misfortune. You may have seen this one going around in the news because it's caused quite a splash when the tree fell down. In Point Calamouche, Quebec, the removal of a large tree turned into a full-blown shit show when a massive tree came crashing down in the wrong direction and flattened a home. Now that home's tenant, 65-year-old Daniel Delisle, has lost everything, and a blame game is in full swing. Here's the story of that tree that they tried to chop down in Quebec.
The moment captured on video. It's when 65-year-old Daniel Delisle says he lost everything.
That's my room there. I got 3 rooms upstairs. It was in my bed there. My office went the other side. All the stove, everything brand new. The washing machine, table, everything is brand new inside. I lost everything.
On June 23rd, he says a tree felling service was hired to cut down this enormous tree just feet from his back door. Delisle, who's been renting the house for 15 years, says he wasn't home when the job was done. Video taken by his neighbor shows the tree was not taken down in pieces. Instead, it appears the plan was to pull the tree away from the house.
There was like a loader pulling out a cable, and I thought like the tree will go on that side, and when I see the bottom of the tree slipping on the wrong side, this is when it's then like I realize it won't be good.
Delisle says he rushed home right away and was devastated by what he found.
I like this place. There's got lots of animals coming and everything. I go fishing, I got my boat, I go fishing. No, and I can do nothing.
Delisle is on a fixed income of just $1,000 per month. He says he's been disabled since a car accident when he was 19 years old and has no savings. Insurance, he says, was too expensive.
No insurance, I have no money. I have no more nothing.
Video of the incident with the caption, "Wrong Calculations," has gone viral. It's been viewed over 17 million times, but there's one viewer who doesn't see the humor. Delisle's community has started a GoFundMe page that's already raised over $7,000 to try to help get him back on his feet.
Oh, I feel bad for that guy. You're hearing a 65-year-old man crying. I feel for him. Sucks that he didn't have insurance. Like I used to work in home and tenant insurance for years. Tenant insurance, like that you would buy as a renter, generally it's inexpensive and it's so worth it because once in every 15, 25 years or whatever, you're really going to need it. And this is one of those stories that highlight that. Like this poor guy lost everything.
Yeah. It's too bad. So was the tree, what I was a little confused about in the story is who ordered the removal of the tree? Was it the landlord or was it the neighbor?
It must have been the landlord because the tree was very close to the house and it was a huge tree. Looks like I don't know, like a 80, 100-year-old tree, a massive tree that was very close to the home. And as we heard described there, they had like a truck with a wire coming from the truck around the tree. So the truck was driving away, trying to pull the tree away from the home as they're cutting it. something went wrong and the tree didn't go with the truck. It went backwards and landed on the house and literally flattened it. The entire house was destroyed. A horrible day for that tree cutting group. Like, I'm sure they're like, oh no. A horrible day for this tenant, probably not so much for the landlord. It's an inconvenience for the landlord, but he would have insurance that is probably going to rebuild that house for him. So the landlord is going to come out of this on the other end with a brand new house. But this tenant without tenant's insurance is on the hook for everything he owns that was destroyed in this, which is horrible. I guess you could probably go after the tree cutting group, but that's probably not going to be easy. And I don't know what kind of waivers and stuff you sign when they're going to cut a tree like this down, but that'd be my first thought, is like insurance would help and potentially a lawsuit would help. In this case, they had to go to the third option, which is a GoFundMe. In that news clip, they described the community set up a GoFundMe to help this guy. But I looked at the GoFundMe and read through it, and it seems like it started by him, by the man. He, even in the description, it's like, it starts with a hello, my name is Daniel Delisle. After a professional tree company cut down a tree, it fell on the house I'd lived in for over 20 years. My girlfriend and I lost everything, including our furniture, appliances, and our belongings. For the moment, the Red Cross is taking care of us for 3 days, and then we wait for the reconstruction of the house to be finalized. We're both 65 years old. We had no insurance and no safety net since we live off what we have, our pensions. We ask your help to reach our goal, since even with the help of our families, we're unable to reach the current goal of furnishing ourselves and having the bare minimum. We're well aware of the current economic challenges and understand that it's not easy to ask for help. Even if it's not to reach our maximum goal, your donation can make a difference in our lives and help us to continue our old age with dignity. Thank you very much. So it doesn't seem to be set up by the community. It seems to be set up by him. And it seems like they're very close to their goal. He had a goal of $16,000 at the time of our recording. It's at a little over $15,000. So he's almost there.
Yeah, I would think that whoever the tree cutting company is, like, they should step up and give the man some money, because it's their fault that the tree went down on the house.
Yeah, they made some kind of mistake. They're probably, like, when something like this happens, they probably know that lawsuits are coming. So by helping someone is probably admitting some kind of fault or something. I can see a situation where they're like, we're going to let our lawyers handle this and our insurance companies. They probably also, the tree cutting company probably has insurance against this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's probably coming down to a battle between lawyers and insurance companies.
Yeah, they would. But sorry. I mean, it's obviously their fault. So admitting blame is pointless, because they're clearly the ones to blame. They're the ones that messed up. There's nobody else that you can possibly blame in this situation. So I think that they could put a little water on the fire by giving the guy $10,000.
Yeah. And $10,000 is going to be peanuts compared to what the end result of all this will eventually be.
Yeah. So
'cause it's a large house, and of course, this is probably going to destroy their business. Would you ever hire the local tree cutting company that flattened the guy's house and was in the news, and the old guy lost everything and it was on Keep Canada Weird?
Yeah. So maybe if they, were to give him a donation of say $10,000, it could give them some goodwill in the community, and people will keep hiring them.
Yeah, make it right. Again, he's just about at his goal. By the time this episode is available on Friday, the 11th of July, hopefully he hits it by then. I'm going to include a link to his GoFundMe in the episode description for people listening to the podcast. If you want to see where he is, or if you want to throw this man some change, you can do that there. But I never really support GoFundMes, because in my mind, they're always scams. But this one here, and this one appears to have been vetted by GoFundMe, so it's good.
Right. That's great. Yeah, I think people should donate to this and help this guy out. And we give it the KCW donation stamp of approval.
It's just sad to me. I picture, like, I saw my dad a little bit in this guy, and maybe it's because of the age. Maybe it's because of him saying, like, I see animals here, I go fishing here. Like, it just seems like it's such a simple kind of guy to just, like, end up with a tree falling on his house. That sucks. And that's why it's the story of Canadian misfortune. We had madness, We had mischief. We had misfortune. Is there anything else you could possibly ask for tonight?
Misfits.
What about more stinky places?
Yeah, more gross stuff in general.
No, I don't want to do too much of that. We don't do too much gross places or stinky stuff, and we avoid animals getting hurt. I think we've been through enough tonight. We could start wrapping this up. You want to give us a happy ending? Is there anything nice you can say that can maybe cheer us up?
Anything nice to say? Well, regardless of how you've hurt me tonight and lied to me at the beginning of the show, I still love you.
Oh, good. Well, that makes me feel better. I'm done my special drink. You done yours?
I still got some left to enjoy after the show tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm done mine. So let's wrap up the show. Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan Bus Stop Backhoe Bonaparte. Until next time.
Be careful when you're cutting down trees. I know from experience it can be quite risky. I chopped down a small tree with a friend a few weeks ago. We double checked everything. We were sure the tree was going to fall somewhere safe, and it ended up falling on the electrical wire that connects the power line to their neighbor's house. Fortunately, it didn't break that line, so I think we got out lucky. We could have been being talked about here on Keep Canada Weird.
Yeah, and Jordan, until next time, you recently took in a dog, a rescue dog. I want you to think about taking in a rescue feral pig and seeing what happens.
I think I'm more likely to take in a rescue 65-year-old man from Quebec and his girlfriend.
Oh, okay. I'm going to take in some rescue still water from a KFC parking lot.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
I've got a package here.
They came in the mail?
Well, yes, that's right. Not just a random package, but a package delivered. And let's take a look inside and see what is in this package from Charlene. Oh, look at this. This is cool. It appears to be a cup holder, like that you would put like a beer or something in. It's made of tires. So it says Keep Canada.
Is it made
entirely of tires? Yeah,
entirely
that's right.
of
It says Keep Canada Weird on it, but it's a perfect size for a nice cold beer on a hot summer's day. And the tires will insulate my beer so that it stays nice and cool.
Charlene, that was awfully kind of you to send that along. It showed up at the P.O. box. I forwarded it along to you.
Yes.
Because I thought it could be explosive or poisonous. I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you tried to take the hit first for me. But thank you, Charlene. I love it. It's my favorite cup holder I've ever owned in my entire life. Entirely tires.